Okay, today I'm going to show you how to transfer or flip flies. Flipping means to take flies from an old vial, typically an old vial where they've gone through their entire life cycle, pupated and emerged from their cocoons, and then you take those adult flies that have come out and move them into a fresh, clean vial of food where those adults will then mate and lay eggs to start a new generation. I've transferred the flies out of this old vial already into this clean vial so that it's easier to see the process. Flipping is relatively easy, but it takes a little bit of practice and muscle memory. Once you understand the process and have it practiced and understand the muscle memory, it's pretty easy to flip quickly and efficiently. It's difficult to show this process using live flies because it's hard to go slow enough that it's easy to see without letting flies escape. So I have two empty example vials, a fake old vial and a new vial. And I'm going to show you how to do this process very slowly. So you want to start by taking your new vial, the vial you're going to transfer the flies into, and taking the plug out. As much as possible, you want to keep this covered either with your thumb or by leaving it upside down, because we want to avoid any rogue flies that might be flying around in the lab from getting in, because we don't want any genetic contamination. So we don't want any live flies to be inside the vial that are not part of the genotype that we want. We also don't want any live flies to get in, lay eggs, and then leave. So even if you don't see live flies in there, it's possible that a fly may have gotten in, laid eggs, and then left. So as much as possible, you want to prevent any opportunity for flies to get in and contaminate your vials. And then we're going to take our old vial, which is full of flies, and we're going to loosen the plug, but not take it entirely out. We just want to get it to the point where it's very easy to take out. And then you're going to tap the vial down, which is going to cause the flies to drop. If you look at this vial of live flies, you'll see that they're mostly climbing up the sides and trying to get out through any space they can perceive in the plug, but they're up on the walls and high up. If we take this vial and tap them, you'll see that they all drop down to the surface of the food, and they'll remain there for a few seconds before they start climbing up again. Right? You see how they all drop down? So that's what we're going to do before we flip them. We're going to take a vial, we're going to tap it down a few times to make sure that they're all on the surface of the food and none of them are climbing up the sides of the vial or sticking to the plug. We're then going to take our new vial, tap it down, and holding the vial in our bottom few fingers, we're going to use our top fingers and thumb to hold the plug, and we're going to gently lift it up, place the new vial on top, make sure that there's a complete seal all the way around, and hold it there. You can then take your non-dominant hand, for me this is my left hand, turn it upside down, and grab the vials right at the point where they meet. You want to make sure that you're maintaining that tight seal, leaving no gaps for any flies to get out or any flies to get in. What you're then going to do is flip it upside down, so now the old vial is on top, and the new vial is on the bottom. You're going to bang it down, which is going to cause all of the old flies to drop into the new vial. Bang it down a couple of times, make sure that all of the flies have dropped in. You do want to be a little bit careful in this process. Sometimes the food will be very soft and somewhat liquid, at which point the food will drop down into the new vial. Or if the food is old or dry, the entire food block might come out and drop all the way down, crushing the flies. Both of these are bad. Once all of the new flies are in, we're going to do a similar thing. We're going to grab the bottom vial using our bottom few fingers, use our top fingers to hold the old vial. We're then going to take the plug, shift the old vial over, and in one smooth motion, put the plug on top, push it in. We want to make sure that there's a good seal all the way around and that there's no gaps or holes open for the flies to crawl out through. So just to demonstrate that again, we want to take the plug out of the new vial, loosen the plug in the old vial, keep it held in place, tap the flies down, take the plug off, slide the new vial on top, take your hand, turn it upside down, grab at the point where they connect, flip them upside down, make sure you have a good hold, tap the flies into the new vial, and then take the plug and in one smooth motion, place it into the new vial. Then you want to recap the old vial. When you're finished with the old vial, there's a number of things you can do with it. I tend to save my old vials, as there will be both larvae and flies that haven't emerged yet, and I will keep them as a backup in case anything happens to my real vial. If you don't need to keep them for a backup, you can dispose of these vials. There's a number of ways to do this. It's illegal and just wrong to release flies into the wild or to throw out vials that have live flies where they could be released into the wild. So you need to do something to dispose of them. We use an autoclave to dispose of the flies. So you take the flies, throw them in the autoclave bin, And then this bag full of old flies will be autoclaved to prevent any live flies from escaping, and then the autoclaved bag can be disposed of. So to show this process again with live flies, you're going to take your old vial full of flies, loosen the plug, tap them down so you see that they're all on the surface of the food, take the plug out of the new vial, turn it upside down, and in one smooth motion, plug out, slide it over top, grab it at the junction point, and you see the flies are already starting to crawl up, but if you hold it correctly, then this seal should be complete and no flies should be able to get in or out. You're then going to turn it upside down, so the new vial is on the bottom. Make sure you have a solid hold. Tap all of the flies down into the new vial. You should see that there are no live flies left in the top vial and that they're all in the bottom. Then again, in a smooth motion, you're going to grab the lower vial, use your top fingers to slide the top vial over, push the plug in, make sure there's a good seal. You can see here there's some gaps where the flies are starting to crawl through. You want to make sure there's as good a seal as possible. If you need to, you can tap the vial down, keep tapping it and the flies should stay down, and you can reposition the plug to make sure that a very good seal is held. Typically, you want to make sure that these are being labeled correctly. These originally were part of my Cas9 population. This was my backup for my Cas9 population. So you want to copy whatever label was on the original vial onto the new vial, so that you always know what the flies that are inside that vial are. You never want to have a vial of flies that's just unlabeled, because then you don't know what it is and you just need to get rid of it since you can't safely use it. You also want to make sure that you're putting a date. What day is it today? You want to make sure that you're putting a date on the vial to show what day those flies were put into that vial.